What's up, Hail Stalkers? Thanks for joining us on this special Friday afternoon forecast. Now, we have a lot to talk about today. We're talking about weather across the southeastern portion of the U.S., where we've already gotten several tornado reports this morning. But before I start that, I actually want to show you something cool. I'm going to show you where I am today. So let's go ahead and make this a little bit bigger so you can see exactly where I'm at today. All right, we're going to go around. I'm at the National Weather Museum and Science Museum in Norman. It's really, really cool. You can see behind me we have a mezzanette field station. This is actually one of the things that they use to measure real-time measurements, temperature, dew point, wind speed, wind direction. And actually we have about 77 mezzanette stations across the state. It gives us all kinds of great information, but that's here in Oklahoma. Let me show you a little bit of a broader range of information and artifacts that you can see at the National Weather Museum. Behind me is an armored T-28 research aircraft. Let me show you some cool things about this aircraft. It's the only aircraft in the world designed to penetrate severe storms containing hailstones. Ready for this? Up to 2 to 3 inches in diameter. 2 to 3 inches in diameter. This aircraft can sustain those massive hailstones. To give you an idea of how large that is, that's baseball-sized hail. But Hail Stalkers, you guys know that already. Behind me and to my right is a car that was in the EF5 May 2013 Ford tornado. You can see the type of destruction this car does, or this type of tornado, this strength of tornado does to a car. This was actually in that Moore tornado back in 2013, the most recent EF5 other than that North Dakota EF5 that got upgraded earlier this year. So I just wanted to show you and highlight some of the really cool things that we have here in Norman. You know, we are weather enthusiasts, so while we have this opportunity, we wanted to make sure that we are highlighting some of the cool museums just in our state. But I know that people are watching from outside of Oklahoma. So I want to make sure that we get to the weather today. Let's go ahead and talk about the tornadoes and the tornado risk that we have for today. So we have 2 days of tornadoes, right? We had those tornadoes that were confirmed yesterday. We told you that there were 2 confirmed tornadoes yesterday, but our number is now up to 3, possibly 4 tornadoes confirmed yesterday. Most of those were in Oklahoma. However, today we saw Mississippi get in on the action. We had 2 more tornadoes reported in Mississippi, and we have more rounds of storms. The greatest tornado risk is yet to come. 1 more round of storm today, and then we have another round of storms on Saturday. Let's continue to go through your headlines here. We have a roller coaster of a weekend here. Temperatures are going up and then going right back down. Are you ready for winter? Finally, we are seeing those winter-like temperatures. Moving on here, let's go ahead and take a look at what's happening around the country right now. You've got to forgive my graphics just a little bit here because I do see a bit of a lag in those graphics. So let's go to the next graphic here and take a look at what's happening across the country. What you can see right here is that we've got those storms ongoing across the southeast. You can see across Mississippi and Alabama, we have storms ongoing, and those are the storms that produced those tornadoes earlier today, and then they're going to produce another round of storms across eastern Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama as we head into the evening hours. Let's go back and look at what happened over the past 24 hours. Over the past 24 hours, we saw several storm reports in Oklahoma. Obviously, those tornadoes, right? We saw several tornadoes reported yesterday. We're going to see several more tornadoes, most likely later on this evening and into the weekend hours. Now, I think that we're getting some connection issues here. So I'm going to try to go through this slowly, but still pretty clear. Okay, we're continuing to go over the next few hours here. Yesterday afternoon, the storm started to die down, and then we saw storms fire up early this morning and into the early morning hours near Arkansas and Mississippi. So let's go ahead and let's fast forward to early this morning. There you go. There's your tornado warnings and tornado reports. Early this morning, finally storms died down, and we're going to see another round of storms later on this evening. So let's go ahead and talk about that. Now here's very clear right off the bat, right? You can see that long cold front that's stretching across the U.S. And that's going to be your storm zone for today. We've got that low pressure system that's driving that to the east. And then behind that low pressure system, that's where all of your cold air is. Out to the northeast, we've got some cold rain going on. Southeast, we do have some storms ongoing right now, and I think I may see one warning from that. And then you go up to the Oklahoma Panhandle and the southwestern side of Kansas, and we have snow in this area. We actually have several snow alerts or winter weather alerts in this area right now. You can see a big difference in our temperatures as well. Where it may have been warm this morning, it is cold now. We've got the 40s in Oklahoma City, 28 in Denver, 44 in Kansas City, and 70 degrees farther down to the south. So we've shown you, we've got that temperature. I'll tell you, we have that moisture as well. Surging up from the Gulf, we've got moisture, we've got temperature, we have that low pressure system, and that cold front. And all of that is going to contribute to that storm zone today. So let's go ahead and take a look at your current radar. You can see that right now we have storms ongoing across this northern side of Hattiesburg and into the eastern side of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. We're going to see more storms fire up today. So we have an all-day storm threat. Here is your level 2 risk highlighted there in yellow from the northern side of Houston through most of Louisiana. We've got Mississippi and Alabama included in this storm risk. Scattered showers and storms will be pretty widespread. This is a large area for strong storms today. We have another risk for storms, and this has recently been upgraded, so pay attention to Saturday as well. This will be mainly from the early morning hours into the afternoon. Moving on, we finally get a break from this multi-day system impacting millions across the U.S. on Sunday. But the cold air hits on Sunday, and it is much, much colder on Sunday. Let's go ahead and move on. Let's really break down the storm risk for today. Let's start with hail, because hail stalkers, this is on your top of mind, right? Will we get hail today? Will we get hail in places like Houston? A big city there. Yes, we do have a chance for hail in Houston. What's your chance? Well, we went ahead and put that at a level 2 risk for today. We have a moderate risk for hail in Houston today. The largest hail size that we're going to see today could be up to the size of a golf ball. Now, for the most part, you're not going to see golf ball size hail widespread between eastern Texas into Louisiana. That's not going to happen. But if a storm were to produce large hail, it could be up to the size of golf ball size hail today. Let's go ahead and look at that significant hail model here. Significant hail model really, really favoring the Gulf Coast where we have all of that moisture and those warmer temperatures. Now, I looked at a few other models, and I'll tell you that I really think that East Texas has the best chance for large hail today. You get into places like Louisiana, your air may be a little bit too warm. That may be your biggest tornado threat. And then you go farther north of there, that's your high wind threat. But East Texas, that is my bullseye for large hail for today. That's what I'm saying right now, but we have a chance across Louisiana as well. I didn't mention earlier, make sure that you comment where you're watching from, because we would love to hear your weather comments. We would love to hear your locations out there. We can really tailor this forecast to your locations. As I mentioned earlier, up to golf ball size hail for today. Again, I'm saying East Texas. That's where I'm going for today. I see a few comments on here, so before we get to that tornado risk, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I am seeing your comments. Some saying Happy New Year to everyone. Thanks for joining us. Chipper, HailTrace team is the best. Well, we appreciate that, Chipper. We appreciate you guys joining us today. And we have some hail reports live on air. I had a round of small, tiny hail in Columbus, Ohio. One place that was not on our hail forecast yesterday that did get hail was in Albuquerque, New Mexico. It was small, quarter size and smaller. This is what we call pocket change hail. But there was a ton of hail and it piled up like snow. We actually posted that video on our Facebook page, so go over there and see it. We've got Gayla Taylor watching from Tulsa, Oklahoma today. Well, Tulsa got its action yesterday. Tulsa is severe clear. Now we're focused on the eastern side of Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. So let's go ahead and get into that tornado risk. The greatest risk for tornadoes highlighted there in yellow. Now, yesterday we saw that tornadoes are absolutely possible. This morning we saw that tornadoes are absolutely possible. I think we can see a handful of tornadoes in this area today, anywhere from central Louisiana to Mississippi and into Alabama. Let's go ahead and talk about that wind forecast as well. Highlighted there in dark blue, that's going to be the best chances for high wind today. What are we talking about here? Yesterday, we saw that these storms are capable of producing strong winds up to 88 miles an hour. That is extremely strong wind speeds, straight line winds at that. That's not even your tornado risk. So strong straight line winds, your wind gusts here could get up to, I would say maybe 80, 85 miles an hour for everyone highlighted there in dark blue. Now moving on, let's talk about your timeline here. Here's a look at your timeline. And I'm actually going to say, I switched up how I did this today. So Michaela, if you're watching out there, I switched up how I did this. If you have the potential to run ads from your side, from the streaming computer, that would be awesome because I did switch up how I did that. I did communicate that to you and I apologize there. But I want to talk about timeline, so I'm going to go back to the forecast here. Now I want you to notice from the national view, we've got some snow moving through Kansas. That could actually get to Kansas City. In Kansas City, you could deal with some winter weather. Moving on to that severe weather, let's go ahead and let's zoom down into the southeast. What we're seeing for severe weather today is obviously that line of storms that's already in place. But we're going to have more developing storms that's going to start back in East Texas later on this afternoon. You can already see by 1:30 this afternoon, we've got storms just to the north of Houston. Now, I'm not going to lie, this piques my interest for that hail risk. North of Houston and all the way into East Texas, I think that hail risk will be ongoing all the way through the evening and late night hours. Here we are at 4 o'clock. It's your evening commute in Jackson, Mississippi. You've got heavy rain coming down, and that could absolutely bring some hail to your area as well. That tornado, hail, and high wind risk continues as we head into the overnight hours. Now, here's the deal with these overnight storms. It's dark outside. You cannot see anything, but that storm risk continues. And that will continue through Mississippi, Alabama as well. Finally, by the early morning hours, things are moving out of Texas and into places like Alabama and Georgia. So that's where I want you to watch for that high wind, hail, and tornado threat on Saturday. And we'll break down Saturday's risks here in just a few minutes. Let's go ahead and move on here. And we are having a little bit of connection issues. So we're going to hope for the best. Hopefully we can continue our forecast. But if you can still hear me, I'm going to go ahead and talk about Saturday. So on Saturday, what we're seeing is we're seeing that chance for tornadoes, and it has just recently been upgraded to a level 2 tornado risk across places like Alabama and Georgia on Saturday. So it's just as this cold front continues to track to the east. You can see by Saturday afternoon, we're continuing to see those storms in the southern portion of Alabama and Georgia, even places like the Florida Panhandle. That's where the storms are. And it does look like I'm reconnected now, so I'm going to go ahead and switch back so that you can see the graphics. They were working on that connection issue while we're waiting for our graphics to load here. Make sure that you put your questions and your comments in the comments section because we love to hear from you guys. Where are you watching from? We know that we've got people watching from Columbus, Ohio today. You guys are going to get a big cool down. We've also got people watching from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Your cool down has already hit. Overnight lows in places like Oklahoma tonight are going to be in the upper 20s, one of the coldest temperatures that we see over the next week, tonight and tomorrow night. That's our coldest temperatures. All right, it looks like my graphics are loading, at least on my side now. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at the graphics. If I can make them full size, that would be great. Some people watching from Norman. Hey, if you're in Norman, make sure that you visit the National Weather Museum and Weather and Science Museum in Norman. It's really cool. We've been here all day. That's why we are not on the green screen today. It's because we are at the National Weather and Science Museum. It's a really, really cool museum. We've gotten to see planes that are armored to withstand 2 to 3 inch size hailstones. That's massive. That is the size of a baseball. And those things are flying at you very, very fast whenever you're up in that plane, and that plane can withstand those hailstones. All right, let's see if we can get our connection back here. If we can't, we may just have to go small graphic mode here. We're going to hope for the best with our wireless connection. Okay, so let's talk talk about the hail forecast on Saturday. Your hail forecast on Saturday is going to be really primarily across the southeastern portion of the U.S. Where I mentioned earlier, we've got Florida, Georgia, Alabama all included in that risk. Your max hail size on Saturday is going to be up to maybe just larger than quarter size hail. So what we're talking about there is we're talking about quarter to half dollar, maybe up to ping pong ball size hail, but I think ping pong ball size hail is stretching it. Okay, I think that we have finally started to get some of our service back. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump back into the graphics system here. Here we go. So as I mentioned earlier, I told you that I thought ping pong ball size hail was absolutely stretching it for tomorrow. Michaela did a great job with this forecast, up to quarter size hail for Saturday. The big thing on Saturday is going to be that tornado risk, of course, right? We saw that tornado risk today. We're going to see it later on this afternoon. We've got a tornado risk for tomorrow as well. That'll be primarily just south of Birmingham, where we could see several tornadoes in this area, but we could see several tornadoes across the eastern side of Mississippi and into Georgia as well. And all of this thanks to a ton of moisture. You can see that plume of moisture that's moving up from Louisiana into Georgia, all of that coming from the Gulf Coast, or from the Gulf into the Gulf Coast. And you guys can see me, I can see you, fantastic. I know I'm appreciative that you guys are very patient with the technical difficulties that we often have in the field. We really wanted to show you this cool area, so we wanted to do the forecast for the field today. All right, let's talk about the flood outlook, because in addition to the hail, wind, and tornado threats that we have in the forecast, we also have several inches of rain moving into this area very, very fast. And here's the thing. Whenever we saw this system move through Oklahoma yesterday and Texas yesterday, we saw a lot of rain really fast, but that system moved on. In this area, it's going to linger, it's going to stay for a while. So what we're seeing in this area is a level 3 flood risk, which, as you can see on the left side of the screen, means that we have numerous flash floods likely. Another thing about this is it will most likely be moving through the overnight hours, so it may be very difficult to see those flooded roadways. Moving on to Saturday now, we have another flood risk in effect here, and that will be highlighted in green. It's a level 1 flood risk, mainly in the northern side of Georgia and western side of the Carolinas. By Sunday, as I mentioned earlier, we are finally calming down. We have just day after day after day of storms, which all end on Sunday, but not without the threat for snow for some. So let's go ahead and see that snow moving across Oklahoma and Kansas. One more look at your timeline for storms here in case you didn't see it earlier. Let's go ahead and talk about that timeline for storms. This is Friday evening at dinner time, 6 o'clock. Here we go. Into the late Friday night, we can still see storms out there. We still have that severe weather risk. And now moving into Saturday and Sunday. Ooh, there you go. You've got some snow in Kansas City, maybe a little bit of snow just north of St. Louis and into Chicago as we head into Saturday. But finally, Sunday looks a lot quieter. What we're left with on Sunday are those cold temperatures. How cold is it getting? Let's talk about that. Temperatures overnight here in Oklahoma are going to drop into the mid-30s. I know that we have people watching from Ohio as well. You also hit that freezing point through the overnight hours tonight. Tomorrow, you don't warm up too much. Here we are tomorrow at 9 a.m. and we are sitting in the 30s. Ooh, maybe even colder. By tomorrow afternoon, it could be a backwards day where we're in the 20s up in Ohio by tomorrow evening. It's going to be a cold weekend for most of the U.S., so go ahead and grab that jacket that you may not have used all January long. Hey, we got 9 days into January and you finally have to grab your jacket. I'll take it. I like that nice weather. How long will this winter blast last? Not very long. It's going to be in the 50s and 60s once again as we head into the early portion of next week. Let's check out Tuesday. Ooh, 61 in Oklahoma City, 57 in Kansas City, and 60s in Dallas. We see temperatures return to the 50s and 60s down in the southeast, which may feel chilly, but that's about normal for this time of the year. Moving on to your long-term outlook, we're going to see, I'm going to move right past this and talk about January 14th through the 18th here. Above average temperatures out to the west, but about normal through the eastern portion of the U.S. So temperatures are about normal for most of us. And it looks like we could have a really good chance for rain, especially up to the north. Does that mean more snow? It absolutely could. Through Oklahoma, Texas, it looks like we can have a dry stretch through the middle of the month. So this rain that we just got here in Oklahoma yesterday, maybe just about it for a little bit. This is one of the driest winters on record so far. And one thing that we were talking about with all of the Mets yesterday, we were talking about, okay, do you remember the last time we had a really dry winter like this? Go all the way back to 2011, I think it was. What happened that following summer? An extremely hot summer. Let me tell you why that is. You don't have any water in the ground. It's extremely dry. Temperatures can warm up really, really fast whenever the ground is really dry. And that'll bring our temperatures up just a little bit warmer than they normally are. So if we don't get rain now, that can impact our temperatures in the summer. Just something to think about there. But we appreciate you guys joining us today. One more look around the museum while we wait for our last few questions to come in. We've got a lot of people joining us today. We've got some from Norman. Emmanuel's saying hello as well. Others watching from Tulsa. Well, I really hope that our service or stream kept up with you guys today. But I want to show you one more thing before we leave. We talked about earlier the Oklahoma Mesonet Station. We talked about this really cool plane as well. Take a look at this plane. Now, this is a T-28. What that means, I hope I'm saying that correctly. What that means is this is an armored plane that is armored, that is built to withstand hail up to the size of 2 to 3 inches. That's the size of a baseball. Can you imagine that massive hail? And last thing before we leave here, this car was in the EF5 May 2013 Moore tornado. An absolutely devastating situation. And what you can see here at the National Weather Museum and Weather and Science Museum are all kinds of things weather related. If you're a weather enthusiast, this is a great place for you to check out. If you're a weather enthusiast, follow us on all forms of social media. You can see all of our forms of social media there on the side of the screen. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. Or give us a call if you're interested in a hail, wind, or tornado map. We've mapped storms for the last 15 years, so we've got lots of storm maps for you to go back and look at. Give us a call or email us at HailTrace. Head over to our website at HailTrace.com or email us at info@HailTrace.com. Thanks for joining us today. Let's go ahead and walk back over here so you guys can see the rest of this side of the museum. This is only a small portion of the museum. The larger portion on the other side over there, you guys come check it out. All right, thanks for joining us today. Meteorologist Taylor Cox, and we'll see you back here, same time, same place for your forecast on Monday.